Why do we sit here being silent, watching our leaders turn into tyrants? Have they forgotten which side they're fighting for? Checks and balances set aside and rule of laws, youth and ours, and Constitution openly ignored. Man, I'm not okay. Think we are being played. Is it time for right and left to join a greater cause? Man, I'm not okay. The rich claim to be victimized just to attack the marginalized. Is 1% really worth more than all the sick and poor? Always preaching about fellowship while planning their dictatorship. Now we've seen how all of this plays out before. Man, I'm not okay. Think we are being played. Time for you and I to join our country's call. Man, I'm not okay. Ever wonder all the mystery? Why they whitewash our history? Keep dividing is their plan. All in all, such a scam. Algorithm buried sly, only used to spread the lies. Politicians know well, hate is simple to upsell. Man, I'm not okay. Think we are being played. Time for you and I to join our country's call.
We are not okay. America is not okay, and we all know that. Former Congressman Joe Walsh, this is The Social Contract with Joe Walsh. Let's figure out how to get okay together.
I need to get some like real bottles instead of these little ones I've had.
Yeah, you have.
Oh, we're live, Joe. What do you know? What do you have there, Vulcan?
Vulcan Blanco.
That is beautiful. Welcome, folks, to welcome, folks, to Tequila Talk.
Hey, by the way, Cliff,
Talk.
hold up your bottle.
Your bottle's bigger than mine.
Joe's bottle is bigger than Cliff's, for the fucking record.
I got to stop it. A friend of mine made fun of me with the airport bottles. They've just been here for a while, and I forget the ones from home sometimes. So, hey, drink. Tequila, folks. It's cheaper than therapy. Welcome to Tequila Talk.
It now is we're going to talk about therapy. It's good to be with you, boss. What do you got on your mind today?
Oh, I have on my mind what a fucking smart guy you are.
Really?
I do, actually. You deserve credit for this. You were the one who, when we talked about Graham Plattner, you knew it all, man. And I remember saying at the time that he wasn't my first choice. I wasn't a huge fan. This was before any of the charges came out about him and women. I just said young guys could do dumb things. I was going to try to have grace and forgive him for the stupid Nazi tattoo, but you pointed out that it was a fake. He must have known sooner. Never liked him, didn't want him to be our nominee, but I was willing to overlook things that you weren't, and you were right. And he is out now, even though he dragged it out as long as possible. So,
can I defend you?
Why? Please do. Well, I'm saying how smart you are.
Well, no. I want to defend you because I am a Democrat for a year now. You and I have talked at length. This is probably not a permanent condition for me. You are a lifelong believer in the cause of the Democratic Party. So when a nominee wins a Senate primary in any state, of course, any good Democrat is going to immediately say, we got to fucking beat Susan Collins. We got to win. We got to take back the Senate because Trump's got to be stopped. So Cliff, in your defense,
thank you.
You had reservations about him from the jump.
Oh, absolutely.
And like so many people, so many Democrats, you weighed those against, well, we've got to win, democracy's on the line. And that's all true.
And I'll also admit, I want to throw this out, I hoped for the best. In other words, what I hoped was, because I try to have grace for people in life, I hope that these were things that were in his past and he had learned his lesson. Quite clearly, he had not. And I mean, once the stuff, everything came out about various things with women, but even some of that stuff he'd said online that was racist and whatever was not that old, like 8-10 years. I mean, it was a really difficult situation, you know.
See, to me, and again, this is my flaw. I was wrong because, but Cliff, the moment I heard about the Nazi tattoo politically, he was dead to me. The moment. And then he lied about it. You and I talked in real time about it. Then he lied about it. And I just kept, look, I love Israel no matter what. I abhor anti-Semitism no matter what. And Cliff, I just kept telling myself when I saw that Nazi tattoo, even if like you're not all the way on Israel with me, not you, but people in general, and the tattoo doesn't really bother you. Well, okay, Democrat, what if it was a KKK tattoo that he had on his chest knowingly for 18 years? Would he be dead politically? And to me, anti-Semitism is racism and bigotry, just like...
I think it's the same thing. Well, listen, this very week, and this is going to connect to something else, there's some person who doesn't even deserve to have their name be mentioned, but he likes to talk like he's a real person and say okey doke a lot, and, you know, like he's a regular guy. He, in fact, insulted you at some point and then restacked you because that's what normal people do. But accused me of, even though I said Bibi Netanyahu is a war criminal, but I also would not use the G word because of reasons I've given before, old troops. And because I believe Israel has the absolute 100% right to exist, like every other country in the world right now. Or let's start going back to countries drawn after World War II. Lines are drawn after World War II and undoing all of them, as opposed to just the one with the Jews in it. Because of all that, even with all of that, I am apparently being paid by Israel, according to this guy.
Yeah.
One of the more anti-Semitic things you could say, that's what he accused me of. Because that's Israel. I mean, first of all, he's a fucking moron, because if Israel were paying me, I probably wouldn't say their leader should be in The Hague. Yeah. But even so, the fact that I had to be supporting somebody for money, I couldn't be supporting them because I believed it. So you know what? You know who just made the same comment that American Jews supporting Israel was because of money? Abdul al-Said, the candidate in Michigan. And I'm now going to oppose him with every fiber of my being. I wanted McMorrow. She was the perfect, from my politics, liberal, but wouldn't support Chuck Schumer and all that. The best candidate by far. But
why'd she get out, Cliff? Why'd she get out?
Because she got squeezed from both sides. You had a Schumerite in Stevens, and you had a radical anti-Semite in al-Said. And so now, I'm sorry, but when you...
Oh my God, talk about a more handsome face. Talk about finally a handsome face on this damn set. There he is.
How you doing, Mr. Views?
Hey guys, how you doing?
Good. I hope
Richard,
we're not having
too
difficult a conversation for you to join into with us.
He'll jump right in.
But you know, the irony is just now is in this race in Michigan is that of all people, you wouldn't expect this, Mehdi Hassan had al-Said on and questioned him. And apparently, I don't know if where Mehdi found this out, but said, you've been calling yourself a physician. You are not. You don't have a physician's license. And he does not. So he won't release his taxes and keeps giving Trump-like reasons. I don't know what it is about the DSA and refusing to do vetting, but vetting's a thing. Real candidates are a thing. Campaigns matter. And you can pick people that have your beliefs, but have been vetted. Like,
I want to jump to Richard. Just jump right in. I'll just say this, Cliff. The energy in the party, it's on the left, and that's fine. They're having a Tea Party moment. I love it. But the energy's on the left. So when the Dems get excited about a candidate on the left, they tend to get a little ahead of themselves and maybe not get into the vetting. Richard, how?
I'll just say before Richard goes, but we had McMorrow sitting right there, who was vetted. Okay.
Right. But as you said, she's kind of in the middle between two extremes. Hello, man. Would you say something? It's your show, Richard.
Yeah, you're running this thing. I missed your show the other day because I'm what's known as an asshole. So go ahead.
Well, I'm just listening to try to draw some observations as I tend to do. So I'm going to go back to when you guys opened about Plattner.
Yeah.
Okay, so obviously the unique thing about me being in this setting is I'm in the 1/3, and so Graham Plattner said something that is getting skipped over way too much. And I said last fall that this was something that too many people were skipping over, and they were using numbers, a percentile, to kind of let it slide by. And because of that thing that they were, for me, from the very beginning, I said on my show, and I said it in October, I said it again in May after the latest text came out, etc. I said that anybody that completely uses a broad stroke about something or about a particular community of people,
Yep,
I got a little bit of a challenge with that. And so I'm not blaming the Democratic Party for that. I'm not blaming, well, exclusively. You know, to say that, why don't Black people tip is the broad brush of an entire community of people, not like some Black people don't tip, or is it that some Black, he didn't answer, he made a conclusive statement about an entire group of people.
which I've never even, by the way, heard that dumb thing.
Well,
like there's stereotypes you hear.
Whether you've heard it or not, I mean,
I know. I'm just saying.
it was a relevant statement to his qualification,
Yep,
to the voters in the state of Maine, but also to the rest of the country of Black people, because he didn't say the voters. He didn't say Black people in Maine. He said, "Why don't Black people tip?"
And by the way, Richard, he painted with that same broad brush against rural whites,
yeah,
against cops, against a lot of groups of people. It was all there.
Yeah, without a doubt. So it was all there, and we had an opportunity to make a better decision a while back, and it didn't get vetted as it should. And the sexual pieces of this, which are equally damning, they were then, they are now. But, and I shouldn't say but, I should say and, because of that, we draw conclusions now to say that factions inside the party are at fault. Well, in reality, this is the thing that a lot of times, even you guys, who is bright and as smart as you guys, don't do.
I'm not really that bright.
And Joe and I've had part of this conversation before. Even you're susceptible to looking at a narrow lens when it comes.
It's true.
To this. And I'll give you an example. Joe, I disagree 1,000%. The Democrats are not having a Tea Party moment. You know why? Because the Democrats aren't trying to tear down the fucking country. And the Tea Party was, as folks in the party, in the Tea Party or origin admitted, they wanted to tear everything down. Now, there's parts.
Let me add one nuance and then continue. And tell me if you agree or disagree with this. When I say the Dems are having their Tea Party moment, you and I may disagree a lot on what the Tea Party was, but it was an anti-Republican Party establishment movement.
Right.
The Dems are rightly having an anti-Democratic Party establishment moment.
Yes.
And I think that's a good thing.
And I agree with that.
I think that would be a more accurate way of stating the similarity, because the Dems are not having it. Here's where I can tear into that a lot, not tearing into you, because there aren't any Black people in the Democratic Party that are going after white people by virtue of the fact that they're white and unqualified. The Tea Party went after Black folks for that reason. So that's why I'm saying what you just said, that clarification, that add-on is perfect, because it says the Democrats are waking up to some things that they don't like about the establishment.
You actually, Richard, this is a really fucking great conversation about the substance of the Tea Party, and you and I need to have it. Again,
no, I'm having it too. Don't you cut me out, Joe?
No, I won't. But
you anti-Semite.
But that, yeah, Richard. When I use they're having their Tea Party moment, and I say that a lot, they're having their populist moment, right, their anti-establishment moment.
Yeah, and here's the thing about the establishment. The establishment's not bad. It's the leaders that are the problem. Because if you think of, let me, this is where
I would agree with that. Can I just, but I do need to cut you off for 1 second because there's something I did not do, which is to say, folks, this is Richard Chew. No, you didn't do it either, Joe, so be quiet. This is Richard Chew, brilliant radio host at WCPT in Chicago, Chew's Views. I believe it's from 6 a.m. Are you crazy? 6 a.m. Central to 9 a.m.? Is that the time? Or am I screwing it up?
6 to 8.
6 to 8 Central on WCPT in Chicago. You can stream it from other places. Richard is amazing and awesome and smart, and
it's a great
show.
Thank
you. Learn stuff from him. Now get back to
interesting and engaging.
Sorry.
So this is where it's beyond nuance that comes into the conversation, and this is where I think we as a country would be better. And I hope I can make some sense out of this. So this conversation about the establishment. So it's a broad statement or phrase that the Democrat, the left part of the party or the progressive part of the party is upset with the establishment. Well, I don't agree with that because it's the wrong definition. First of all, let's define who the establishment is. And if it's the establishment that people are saying they're upset with, the real establishment of the Democratic Party, or in this current time we're in, you know who it really is? It's Black women.
True, they're the biggest voters for the Democratic Party.
The Democratic Party is not upset with Black women. They're upset with the white male leaders of the Democratic Party.
Can I agree with you? I want to agree because I've said this to you before, Joe, and I'm going to go right back to you, Richard. But I have felt a lot like if we had, and again, people vote for leaders. I get who's raising money for them and the rest of it. But Schumer and Jeffries have been so god awful, in my humble opinion, and I think many others, that and so others in that caucus who I do believe, if they had a real leader, would follow them and be willing to take on Trump in a much more aggressive way, don't, because they're told not to by the people that are running things.
Yeah, but Cliff, just as Richard proceeds, I think we need to define where the three of us agree or disagree on what the establishment of the Democratic Party is. Cliff, how would you define the establishment of the party?
I almost don't feel like there really is one. I'm being honest. I'm not trying to be difficult here. I think establishments are something of like smoke-filled rooms and things of that nature that don't really exist.
How about if I introduce a new word to it to save us a little bit of time about that? Why don't we introduce this into the conversation? And I think it needs to be broadly used. The old guard of the Democratic Party.
Ooh, okay, I like that.
And,
yes.
And the reason I say it that way, Joe, is because of me being born and raised in Chicago.
Yeah.
Old guard of the Democratic Party in Chicago
daily
has been problematic. I'll use that as a layer into the national Democratic. The old guard is the problem that people are frustrated with, because there are some people that are that's younger than me, but a little bit older than you, Joe. I mean, we're in the same basic number, more closer to Cliff's age, that have been in politics for 25 years. Have they been in too long? And they're in their early to mid 50s. So it's the old guard that we have to
I couldn't agree with you. That's such a thank you for
glad
we invited him on.
When I think about the establishment, I think about the people that have helped to build the party and make it strong.
That's so interesting, Richard, because when you say Black women, to me, they're the heart and soul of the party.
Yeah.
They're the activists of the party. They're the voters. When I say establishment, I mean the party leadership, the DC party, the party leaders in each state, the DNC, that establishment.
And that's why I'm saying that the definition is probably what needs to be changed, and we don't need to debate that.
But you know why? You just described it perfectly in a way, Richard. Just to say quickly, that's why when I was saying McMorrow before, and Joe threw out, okay, there were three options here, and she was in the middle, but she wasn't really in the middle. She wasn't and isn't a moderate. That's the thing. She was a progressive fighter who said she wasn't going to support Chuck Schumer. She was, for Medicare for all, for disbanding, or certainly getting rid of ICE in its current militaristic incarnation, but not of this insane sort of, chevalier, like, hey, just open the borders and get rid of all the prisons and, like whatever. McMorrow was what, to me, anti-insurgency sort of progressivism should look like, not filled with the kind of angry, populism of maybe angry economic populism. I understand why people are angry about that, but when you're coming in and you're attacking different groups of people, as some of the folks we're talking about have done. Chevalier called white women ugly. She said she repeated a slur. When you're talking about generalizations, right, that people make, like Plattner, her generalization is that black men have an unhealthy fetish for white women. Last time I saw that, I think it was in Birth of a Nation. That's what Chevalier said. So that is a general. So, I mean, to me, that is often crazy land.
I think, hey, Cliff,
I think McMorrow was a progressive fighter who.
She is. And this is, I know, is an issue we're going to talk about. It's the Israel issue that got her, because Abdul came in. They're almost
I'm not
the
even
same
sure where
when
she
it comes
stood
to
on
her.
Israel. It's the interesting thing. I just don't think
and she didn't right away, but we knew where he stood.
Yep.
And he certainly stood where the base of the party, especially young voters, are. And then she tried to catch up on Israel, and it was too late.
What I don't have the luxury of doing as a black man is to not listen to. I have to listen to everybody, and I have to listen with an unfiltered.
Don't listen to Joe, if I'm being honest with you.
And I do this because what happens is, if I don't do that, then I'm going to be like everybody else in terms of the assumptions that I make about what people are telling me about what they think and how they feel. So where am I going with this? So what Joe just said about Mallory McMorrow, I've been blessed to have all three of them on my show. Dr.
Cool.
Steve, I've had Mallory, and I've had Miss Stevens on the show. And the thing that this is where I step back and I go, forget about what I think about either of the three of them. What do the people listening in my show think about them? Because I've been, because of streaming and the other stations that we are now part of, we get listeners from all over the country that will say what they think about darn near anything and everything. They call me out on my things that I make a mistake about, or I have to clean up on aisle 7. And this is what everybody that responded was saying. They felt like the one candidate that had the true pulse of where people are, not the party, but where people are and voters are, is Abdul Saeed. Mm-hmm. And they said that because one of the concerns, one of the feelings, I should say, that a lot of people articulated is that this concern around the Israeli government, which I always define, the Israeli government. And
that's what I appreciate about you, is you make that stuff clear.
I make this really clear because, I got cousins in the family that are Jewish, so they know where I stand. So I make that point because it's the Israeli government and the military and Bibi Netanyahu who people were happy to hear by their own words that Abdul Saeed called that out early on, and he's remained consistent. Right or wrong on some of the other things that he said, done, and been a part of that people have a frustration with, they're angry with. That's what Mallory did not do early on. And people are really not giving folks a lot of window, unfortunately.
No, not right now.
Hey, by the way, Richard makes a great point in general, and I say this as a politician who always was angry, and I led with my righteous anger. Voters want to see righteous anger.
They do.
And that's why, they took a picture of Plattner and they said, that guy looks like an angry white dude, man, angry working class white dude. Richard's spot on. They want fighters. They want people who are righteously pissed off.
And you know what, Mallory, but
you can be, can I say quickly, you can be righteously pissed off, because anybody who tunes in here has seen me righteously pissed off, almost on a daily basis. When I get righteously pissed off, I like to argue, and I get things wrong like anybody else, but generally I have the facts behind me. Now, you can interpret those facts a different way, and you can say, I don't agree with but I don't get righteously angry and just make shit up. You know what I mean? Like, there's a reason it's getting me upset. I have numbers behind it, and then someone can disagree, and sometimes they'll convince you, say, no, you're interpreting that the wrong way. But we're talking about here people that get righteously angry because they love the demagogue, and they get attention that way. And those are some of the people I'm talking about. In any case, go ahead, Richard. Sorry.
No, I appreciate you saying that. The thing that that made Mallory McMorrow popular in an instant, in a 4-minute and 51-second clip.
Yeah.
It's her anger with the system, her anger with the things that people in Michigan weren't getting that they rightfully deserved, irrespective of party and all the other denotations in terms of culture, community, religion, age, blah, blah, blah. That made her this lightning superstar. I mean, you know, everybody was playing that. Everybody was. And she, unfortunately, she started to pull back from some of that, and people saw it. And they and that's those are the notes that I have from folks that listen to my show, is that she became less of that, in some ways subdued, and some people felt, and this is what listeners are saying. Now, right or wrong, I think we have to listen to what they're saying they saw and felt, because they make up the voting populations that we're all trying to reach. So whether that's right or wrong, Joe.
No, Richard, I agree with that. I would only just add this nuance that, and I would say the word genocide. Obviously, I do not believe Israel's committed genocide, but most of the party does, certainly the base of the party. And I think she was late to that game, whereas Abdul wasn't. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah. You're right. And there are people that will disagree with the first part of what you just said about that. So this is where the party's not going to be blamed for that. I think blame's not the right word. The party's not going to be the one to take up that mantle. It's the candidates individually, and then how they get retrofitted into where the party is. And right now, where the party seems to be, is, again, I'm just saying how we see what we see and hear what we hear. Israel bad, Israel government bad, Netanyahu bad, Israeli military bad. I see dead babies on both sides of the conversation, but which one has the most amount of power in this moment? And that's where people's emotions are that are responding to this. And they're saying, wait a minute, I have all the love in the world for these two different communities of culture. And at the end of the day, which one is in a person's perception, and which politicians, I should say, are the ones that are addressing that the most and the most consistently? I think. And I
wonder, Richard and Cliff, answer this, Cliff, first, and then Richard, you. Like, and I don't know where Haley Stevens is on this, but I've often thought that you can't win a major Democratic primary right now if you do not believe Israel committed and is committing genocide. I know where Abdul stands on that issue. I don't know where Haley is. Maybe it has, does she support genocide? Does she believe Israel's committing genocide? I don't know.
I don't know either. But I'll slightly disagree with that premise in that I could be wrong. So maybe
Richard could be wrong if she doesn't.
But I think Turek in if I'm correct, I think Turek in
Iowa,
who was in a primary, wouldn't say it was a genocide, and he won. I mean, remember, we're very focused, especially with media being in New York, on a couple of races where some of these folks, DSA people, outperformed. That's not the way it's happened in all of these races. Turek was the more moderate candidate in Iowa, and he was the one who was nominated. And there are other cases of that too, So right now, I think in Florida, if I'm correct, Vindman is leading, and he's the one he's pro-Israel. So I do think it somewhat matters where you are and the conditions.
Geography plays a huge part in this.
Yeah.
The folks in Texas care less about it than the folks in Michigan do, because let's just look at the numbers. There's not as large of a percentage of the population that's Muslim or Jewish in Texas. Right. Those are real numbers. You notice how it's not an issue in Maine? Why is that? To your point, Cliff, geography and voting graphics.
There are a couple of my people, hanging out in Portland. That's probably about. We're not the ones cutting.
Well. But hold on. It's
I'm trying to make a self-deprecating joke, Joe.
I'm sorry, I interrupted.
Yeah, it's okay. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it's not a big issue. It wasn't a big issue in Maine, but it kind of was. I mean, Plattner, man, he was one of the first early ones out there yelling genocide, genocide, genocide. Plattner was a fighter. If Plattner had been from day one, look, I'm going to fight for you, livable wage, Medicare for all, but doggone it, Israel's not committing genocide. If Plattner had taken that stance, no way would he have won that primary. He led with genocide.
He wouldn't have been supported by the people who gave him. That's a big part of it too.
And I can answer a question for you right now because I just looked it up. Haley Stevens does not believe it's a genocide. At least,
so this will be an
according
interesting
to AI.
case.
AI could be wrong.
Yeah.
But we'll have to see what happens with all that. But I also believe that part of this, and you know this, Joe, from your elections, is that right now it's not just the passion, although passion is a big part of this. It's the organization. DSA has their people organized. They've got their voter lists of who are their people, and they are turning them out. Whereas I don't believe the DNC is saying, we want this person to win. Instead, we're going to make sure to turn out, because the DNC would have to actually be an organized political party to do that. And that's happened roughly never in my life. So
here, I'm gonna throw a bomb in all of this because I've watched it happen over the years. And one of the things that I'll say this, I hate to make a broad sweeping statement, but for the point that I'm trying to make.
If you do, make it about Walsh's.
I don't know. I've got some in my family, so I got to be careful there. But listen, this is one of the things that I said last fall.
I love it, Joe.
Well, would you let Richard go? Sorry, Richard, that he's always interrupting you with a stupid joke.
Joe to laugh.
Richard, continue.
Like
Joe, you caught that though, right? You got that family.
I caught that.
All right.
Sorry,
I said this last fall when the Plattner thing came to the table, and I said this really heavily in May. And the reason I keep going back to what I said is it's about what people are paying attention to. I said that the danger that we face in situations like this with Plattner is that the Republicans, and this is why I'm very careful to go after Democrats relentlessly. Democrats didn't do this. I had a state rep from Michigan who's running for state senate that talked about how the Democratic Party forgot about the Democrats in Michigan. And I said, hold on a second. No, they didn't. They didn't give you the message that you wanted, but they did not forget about Michigan. That's inaccurate. And he was like, yeah, you're right. That is how people here on the ground, they feel like they didn't. So I've said the careful steps that we have to make right now is that we got to stop the infighting and going after each other. And what they're about to do now that Susan Collins was ready, willing, and able to do was to drop all of this in as an October surprise.
Yep.
You probably read that. But what's happened now is, and it may play to our advantage in Maine.
I think they dropped it now. Will definitely play to our advantage. I don't know who,
because she
decided to drop it now, but I thank them.
She could have been she may have been less beatable with Plattner still in the race. That's the part of the conversation that we have to have. And to that end, Joe, you can get this one because you were on the other side. The Republicans wait for the Democrats to fuck up, and when they do, they drive a Mack truck times 10 through it with messaging, right?
Sure do.
Successfully. And so I've been saying for the longest time, the reason that my mother has this phrase, and I've used it for years, and I thank God, I was listening to her. She said to me, Richard, don't give your opposition the stick to beat you with. And the lack of vetting and the situation with Plattner is the stick that I warned the Democrats about in terms of rushing too quickly to this dude, is that it was going to give the Republicans the stick they needed in the Senate race that we actually would be able to pick off. So,
okay, but I'm going to warn too. I know what you're saying there because it's an important warning now. All right, we'll see what else comes out.
Right.
But when you are walking around constantly claiming you're a physician and you are not, like Al Said, as if he thought somebody wasn't going to discover that at some point. If that's not a red flag for people in the way some of the stuff was for Plattner, I don't know.
Well, and by the way, Cliff, that's the other point. Plattner, this is what drives me crazy, Richard, about my new political party, my temporary political party.
I think we'll have lost Joe by the end of the month. Probably.
Richard, by the end of this show?
Maybe. It's possible.
Richard, a couple Democratic consultants saw a video of him like out oyster farming, and they said, that's our guy. Just by the fucking way he looked. without any, and he wasn't working class.
And they hired this group.
Yeah.
The fight agency or whatever. They're awful.
He was a son of privilege. He was wealthy. I mean, come on.
His dad's a Dartmouth trained lawyer.
We're all going to
shave a lot of working class folk.
We're going to shave some needed years off of our life if we talk about that, because when I saw that break, Joe, I was like,
yeah.
Golly. But anyhow, let's.
But I do think to Richard's earlier point about, and I don't know, Cliff, if I don't think Susan Collins wanted this stuff dropped now, but the Collins and Republicans had a problem though, because there was 10,000 more pages of oppo on him.
Oh my God!
Every week there was going to be another woman.
Unpopular senator still by the numbers in the entire U.S. Senate. They have tired of her. What are you saying?
No, I agree with that. I'm saying.
Well, I'm talking about looking at the numbers, and I'm saying they've tired of her whole. Oh, I'm concerned, and then she votes for Brett Kavanaugh. So,
right, but she is especially uniquely. She's uniquely loved in that state.
She has found a way. I give her credit to.
Maine skews older white women.
But I'm saying now.
If that's the case, Joe. I mean, sorry, Cliff.
No, Joe.
No, all right, go for it.
If that's the case, and this is where, I'm not going to walk anything back because I don't need to. I said this and I stand behind it. If that's the case, and I got that same bit of information from a number of folks that I know that are in the state, that the real reason that Janet Mills wasn't the candidate is because the Democrats said that nobody wants an older white woman, when in fact, she's the most successful politician in the state. She is a Democrat. She's not afraid to run from it. And she's gotten shit done. And she stood that motherfucker in the face and said, bring it on.
Exactly, Richard. And she's a solid progressive.
Lost their minds
to
walk away from this woman because she's 70 years old, when the state keeps electing a 73-year-old woman to the Senate. Yeah. That part right there. And it wasn't.
You ever see Futurama? I get the feeling they keep electing Susan Collins when she's ahead in a vat with liquid around it.
What do they do though? Richard, Cliff, put your smart guy hat on. What do Maine Democrats do now? They got to open this up, right? And
they're trying to have a convention of some sort. The Secretary of State, Shenna Bellows, who ran against Collins in the past, I have to say, I don't know much about her. It's hard though to have a huge amount of confidence when she beat her pretty solidly, though this is a different year. We have to accept that. There was a state senator in there. I think his name is Troy Jackson, I want to say. And there's a third one now who has gotten in, and I can't think of who.
But who's going? My question is, who's going to decide?
So they're having a convention, and they're going to. I don't know how you put it. It must be I'm going to guess a digital convention. How you put security together for a real one at this point has to.
Because it still is, Richard. I think you'd agree. It's still, with a decent candidate, it's a very winnable race.
Here's how they.
You want to win? I'm going to tell you this in 2 seconds, and I'm going to kick it to Richard. We all get together. We all fly up to Maine tonight. We go to Heather Cox Richardson's house.
Oh.
You stand outside with the big thing from from what do you call it?
Richard, he's drinking again. Richard.
Right here.
All right, here
go. But I will beg Heather Cox Richardson to get in that race any which way. She would smoke Susan Collins by 20 points.
Let me just not to be stupid, and then we'll go to Richard. You gonna vet her? Everybody needs to be vetted. Go ahead.
Of course I would. I mean,
all right.
Here's what has to happen, and this is an organizational. It's the organizational piece that I don't know if the Democratic message machine, whether it be the national DNC or the state DNC, is ready for. We keep, not the three of us, but there's this constant we got to find the right person.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's how I fight. I'm tagging you with all the shit that you've done that's made it difficult for women in the state of Maine, like vote for Brett Kavanaugh. Right now, they should be tagging the shit out of Susan Collins.
God.
All the stuff she did. To win, You drag her through the mud. You bring up all the things that she's done. You launch.
Actually, I would sit there and go through Brett Kavanaugh's cases, every anti-woman case, case by case.
Bingo. Every single one of them that's on a gender-based issue, on a culture-based issue, on economics, and keep dragging her. And while they're dragging her, figure out who's going to be the best.
You're so right. I mean, that's the thing. Why these people
or her in, but still keep they have to drag Susan Collins. That's the thing that doesn't happen enough. They've got to make her the bad guy because she is based on her voting record.
Right. I need to say quickly to our chat here on the StreamYard side. I have Wilt 33 US. Yes, it was Say Anything. I couldn't think of the name of the movie when I was being, John Cusack with the In Your Eyes reference. And Fancy Nance 56, who said Heather said she's not going to run. I know that was the reason why I said we need to all go outside her house with the big thing to beg her to run, because she said she's not. I was thinking hopefully enough of us could convince her. But
hey, Richard, I told Cliff this before he got on, and he yelled at me. But I got to hop off in a few minutes, so I apologize, Richard. You have to hang out with him.
Me, Richard. He leaves early. And
Richard, you got to hang out with him for another 10 minutes or so. But I want to ask you each,
and it hurts.
Before I go, jerk, I want to ask you each a question. As the three of us sit here right now, very different people, very different politically, but we're all invested in having the Democrats win. Richard, I'll start with you. What's your biggest overall concern about the Democratic Party right now?
The party, again, I'm going to define this separately. The leadership of the party, if you will, is that they are not playing hard enough and mean enough. And they're still too worried about the decorum of it all and not pissing anybody off. I'm like, punch these motherfuckers in the mouth.
Yes.
That's where I come from. I'm like, no, screw that. You all have messed up our country. Democrats haven't done enough to fix it, but you all have been the ones that messed it up. The message needs to be real simple. And that's the concern I have, Joe, with the structure, the establishment, or the old guard.
Yeah.
They are not coming out bringing sledgehammers and knocking over some goddamn tables. That is what people, because think about it. All the candidates that are succeeding right now, guess what they're doing? They're knocking over tables. They're making noise. They're love him or hate him. Saeed is doing that. Plattner was doing it. And others are doing it. That is what's working. And the establishment, the old guard, still is trying to figure out, okay, is that really going to work? Yeah, well, fuck, it's going to work because look at who's winning.
Yeah.
The party voters, because, in my opinion, the leadership or the establishment or old guard isn't doing that nationally. Like, I bet you $1, Joe, and you and I have had this conversation before. If you and I said, look, we got to fix our country. We may go back to our own corners after we fix some of the stuff that's really broken.
Yeah.
But you and I are going to go on a national campaign. And every stop that we go on, every stop we're saying we are not going to, if we took that kind of, not to get elected, but to say the word so that people go, that's what we need to be doing. So the leadership, the establishment, the old guards not doing that.
Can I go and drive the car?
Go. Absolutely. And then the other part, Joe, that's a reflection of that is that the voters are frustrated because that's not happening.
Yeah.
So they're caught between, do I get involved again? Do I invest my heart and soul and all in this all over again? So what's the word that I would put on that? Apathy. There's still a little bit of apathy from folks.
Yep.
Even a certain amount, there's a lot of energizing that's going on. That's my concern. Long-winded answer, but that I
love it. Right. I can give a short-winded answer that sounds a lot like his. It's the exact same thing. It's you can't run campaigns like we did in 24 and say if Trump wins, it's the end of the world as we know it, right? And then be like, all right, back to regular business. Let's oppose him. I'm still getting emails from Democrats that don't mention not just don't mention Trump, but don't mention what MAGA has done. Don't mention the destruction, the attack on the Constitution, the attacks on our democracy, and all of that. And so I will sum it up by saying that I could not agree more. And do these far left anti-Semites piss me off? Yeah, but the only reason they have the energy that they have is because the people like Chuck Schumer and Jeffries haven't done their job. They've tamped down anybody who wants to fight, and some just ignore them and fight anyhow, a group of people, and that's great, but not enough. And so you end up getting that energy ends up with some really fucking sleazy people who have not been vetted. And so it's ultimately it's the leadership's fault.
So we're all singing from the same hymnal. My biggest concern about my new party is the party, the establishment, the old guard, whatever, they just haven't fucking met this moment.
Yep.
Period. They have not met this moment. But my concern is twofold, and I'll leave you two with this. Richard, your business radio, this is a tease. You guys can fight about it. But the other part of my concern is that the part of the party that does fucking recognize this moment and is meeting this moment is the left. Great. My worry is that they go too far, because I come from one of those things called the Tea Party, and it fucking morphed into MAGA, which is utterly un-American.
Right. I would say to you, there are those who've recognized it, frankly, for a lot longer than just Trump. And I'm sitting here in a state with one of them, Sherrod Brown, and that is why he has always been so successful, because he's invaded against greed and against some of these corporate monopolies and the rest of it. And you can do that without bringing the anti-women, anti-gay, anti-Semitic, anti-black stuff with you. And if we had more people like that who were doing that, then you wouldn't get this energy going to this fringe. Now,
Can I say one more thing before I go?
Yeah.
Damn it! Everybody listening to us has to listen to Richard every fucking morning, Monday through Friday.
I don't care what the hell else you're doing.
I'm an old radio guy. He's a young, still radio guy. He's been doing it for 100 years. It's such a wonderful show. Richard's show in the morning.
Brilliant.
Again, Richard, 6 to 8 every morning, right? In Chicago, but around the country. Cliff, make sure you give out all the info on Richard's show a billion times.
You have to tell us first. What are you ditching us for?
A much more important panel to sit down with than you two.
That hurts a lot.
You got to fire up the barbecue because you got some guys coming over.
Yeah. He's going in the back to drink some green alcohol. What's going on?
To throw some lobster tails and some
Love you both. See you guys.
You too. Take care, buddy.
Thank you for listening. Remember to listen, follow, and share The Social Contract with Joe Walsh on Apple, Spotify. Plus, don't forget to subscribe to The Social Contract on Substack. This has been The Social Contract with Joe Walsh.